Something weird's going on. And those two deer right up at the corn pile. And as soon as they got to the pile, they just took off. The wind's not even blowing that direction, it's blowing the other way. So I don't know what they're smelling or seeing. And both of them walked right up next to me, went right to the corn pile. Something's spooking them, I don't know what it is. It is pretty windy out here this morning, so I don't know if the wind switched to where they could smell me or what. That was just weird. It's just me today. Out here doing a morning hunt. Got my bow over here. I'm hoping that big buck shows up again. But it looks like I gotta keep him away from in front of me. So I know it's a little windy today. But Friday when me and Justin were hunting, that big buck came up this way. And that's when he stopped and started coming around this way. So I'm hoping he does that again today. That'd be nice. The first one that came in was that 4-pointer. Well, 6-pointer, I guess. And the wind itself isn't that bad, it's the wind gusts that keep coming. Like bouncing out between different trees. You know, we had that 6-pointer come in. And that 6-pointer came in right to the corn pile. It was like right when the wind picked up is when he took off. So I was thinking that maybe just the wind spooked him. Then that doe came right up underneath me, basically. As soon as she got to the corn pile, she took off too, so I think the wind might have shifted for a minute there. Mostly it feels like an east wind, which is good. Occasionally we get a couple, south winds going. Hopefully the wind don't keep them hunkered down. The one bad part about the wind is we can't really hear them coming until they're right under us. And also with it being windy, they're going to funnel more downwind. So I wasn't going to go hunting, but this is really the only time that I can. Probably won't be able to hunt again till the weekend. So, I don't know. I'm gonna call it for this hunt. Started getting way too windy. I don't mind a little bit of wind, but branches start falling on me. I got a problem with that. Seen this 2 deer. Had that little 6-pointer, 4 6-pointer, and that doe. They came in right under me. It was right as soon as they got to the corn pile, they just took off running. And, the wind kind of shifted on me a little bit, but I wasn't even going to go out today because the wind, and it's supposed to start raining here pretty good soon. I wasn't going to hunt, but I really don't have much other time to hunt. Till this weekend. So yeah, it was good to get out though. Even if I don't see a shooter, I like going out and just sitting. I think the wind would have not been so crazy. Probably would have seen a lot more action. But that's the end of my hunt, but not the video. So I'm gonna shoot back here a couple days, be just a couple seconds for you, and see if we get something. Back out here this afternoon. The video you just seen was from yesterday morning. We had all them does there. I didn't see any bucks, but we seen that one doe that was blowing. I actually thought that she was blowing at me first, but then the other, it was actually a button buck that was in that corn pile right in front of me. Just kept on having his head the opposite direction, and I was looking at that doe that was blowing, and she was just looking straight at him. So first I thought I was busted, but she kept on blowing, and she was like walking forward towards that button buck as she was blowing. So eventually she started to come up to that corn pile, and then something jumped them. I don't know what it was. They kept on looking that west direction, so I kept thinking that a big buck was going to show up there, but nothing ever came in. Didn't go out yesterday evening. My boy had a tournament for baseball. He had 2 games yesterday, and they actually won. My boy got the championship. And then my daughter, it's actually today, is my daughter Kylie's 7th birthday. So yesterday we had her party. She went bowling, and then we went out to the trampoline park and dinner, arcade, got to play some games and stuff. Today's her actual birthday, so spent the morning with her, went to church, and I told my wife I don't go out in the morning, then I'm definitely going out in the evening, so that's what I'm doing here. I do have a nice buck that showed up yesterday. I'll show you a picture of it, and it's actually a pretty decent one that I would definitely shoot that one. There's another one that showed up last night. I'll show the picture here. Is this split brow buck, and that's the first time I think I've seen him. At least that's the first time that he's shown me that a good side where you can kind of see that split brow. He kind of has that little fork on the left side that looks familiar from another buck, or maybe 2 different bucks that have that as well. But it's the first one I've seen here this year that has that split brow, so that's kind of cool. Here I got to put batteries in my camera. They died again. This was weird. I had the batteries in for 3 days, and they're dead. So I'm gonna switch out the batteries, lay some corn out, and see what we can do. It's just me today. Justin's not here, so hopefully we'll be able to see some more bucks in person. Do you think this stuff really works? Like, honestly, do you guys think it really works? We're always told to use it, huh? I don't know. I've had success using it, and I've been out there and not seen anything, so. Who knows, huh? I made it to the tree stand here. One thing I forgot to get, to bring up here, was batteries. I got all the way to my stand. I actually got to my trail camera, and realized I didn't bring my dang batteries. But ironically, you know, I was just talking about if that scent eliminator spray actually works. Literally, I'm walking to my stand, and I walk down this trail here, and that cut right here. And I come up to my stand. Literally, right when I made this turn here, there was 2 deer right there. I had actually walked past them. They were like 20 feet away from me, so. Does it work? Or is my camo that good? Probably not. I got the cheap camo. But don't got batteries in the camera. I was planning on going back and coming in. Going back to get the batteries and then coming back and putting them in, but the deer's already moving. I'm not going to risk jumping anymore. It is beautiful out here, though. Yesterday morning when I was out hunting, it was like 36 degrees out. Freezing cold. That's one reason why I didn't want to come out this morning. I don't do well with the cold. Right now it's like 56. It's supposed to get down to like 48, so that's not terrible. That's doable. I'll say that this is my favorite time of year. Mainly for the nature. I mean, all the colors changing. We got the oranges and the reds, the browns, the greens. Beautiful, I love it. Favorite time of year is fall. But my least favorite time of year is the winter. And fall is just that reminder that winter's coming. But as we sit here waiting on the deer to show up, I want to know, and put down in the comments, tell me your absolute favorite hunting memory. I would love to know that. You was hunting with your dad, your grandpa, taking your kids out, the biggest buck you've ever gotten, whichever. I'd like to know. I love hearing hunting stories like that. I'll say my favorite hunting memory is 2 years ago when I took my son out and he got his first deer, that button buck that he got. I put a picture. Yeah, we were sitting in that 2-man stand that Justin and I were in last week, and that button buck comes up on our left side, and we're using my crossbow, and my crossbow is pretty heavy, and I had forgotten my shooting stick. So when that deer came, I grabbed the crossbow with my left hand because he was sitting on my right, so he had to lean over me to get the sights on the button buck. So I'm bracing it up with my hand, trying to record with my other hand on my phone, and hoping that I get the shot. Well, the bolts that I had in it, I didn't have lighted nocks, and the deer didn't jump normally, like they call it like the death jump or the death kick. The deer didn't jump, you heard the shot and the deer ran away. And my son was like, I hit it. And I'm like, I don't know, but I don't want to doubt him just yet. And then I'm looking, and the deer just disappears. And I'm sitting down, and he's talking. I'm trying to get him to be quiet so I can listen to see if I can hear any crashing. And I heard what I thought was crashing. So we waited like 30, 45 minutes. And we go walk down there, and I'm teaching him how to track, He's I looked up, and I did see the deer, but I didn't tell him that. So I'm like, all right, here's your first blood. Here's where your arrow's at. There is blood on the arrow. So we're walking through, finding, each spot of blood, and it leads us to the deer. And the excitement that he had was just unbelievable. His first deer, that was by far the best. Any deer that I've gotten, I got deer that's hanging up on the wall. I've been hunting for years. Any animal that I've harvested, his deer was the number one. Just the experience of him getting it. I mean, like, I still get, called buck fever. You shoot a buck and then you start shaking. I still do that a little bit. I was absolutely shaking when he got his first deer. I was never been more proud. I would take that over any of my hunts, hands down. Then he helped me, skin his deer, and we're butchering it and all that stuff. Any opportunity that you can get your kids outside in the wilderness, get them off of the couch, just do it. Spend time with them. You can buy them all the gifts in the world, but you take them out and you teach them something, that's something that they'll never forget. Because now when he's older, this is where my mind goes. Years down the line when shit hits the fan and you have to provide for your family, he's going to know how to harvest an animal and feed his family. That's the things that we got to teach our kids. It's not all just about getting that rack mounted on the wall. It's life lessons, how to respect the animal, make ethical shots, and providing for your family. That's what it's all about. That was an epic ending to that hunt. That was crazy. A lot of that rut action going on. That first that 8-pointer came in, and then does started falling in, and then that 10-pointer that came in started crashing onto all the trees around, tearing up everything, making a bunch of new scrapes and rubs and stuff. And then that doe came in and he just started chasing